Hello, my name is Rafael Seiz Ortiz from Universitat Politècnica de València. And in this unit, I'm going to deal with ICT-based resources for CLIL, types and pedagogical potential. ICT stands for Information and Communication Technologies, and CLIL is Content and Language Integrated Learning. And in this unit, we're going to start with an introduction. Then I will propose a typology of ICT-based learning resources that can be used in a CLIL context. Then I will give some pedagogical proposals to use ICT-based resources for CLIL. And last, I will give some conclusions. The objectives of this learning object is to suggest a typology of ICT-based resources for CLIL, then also with the aim of helping users to categorize, organize learning resources for CLIL. And also, in the end, to assist the good pedagogical use of these resources in a CLIL methodological context. Well, actually, the first thing we have to say is that there are many connections between information and communication technologies and the 4 C's of the CLIL methodology. The 4 C's are cognition, content, culture, and communication. Regarding cognition, ICTs can give us access to hypertexts. Also, these technologies allow us to link and connect ideas, words in a kind of network which works in a very similar way to our brain. Actually, the approach that is behind all this is constructivism, a kind of approach whereby knowledge is constructed rather than given from outside. Regarding content, ICTs provide an easy and enhanced and efficient access to content and information, after all, which is very important in a CLIL context. In terms of culture, if we use ICT-based resources, we can access the culture of the target language in a very easy and efficient way. And regarding communication, actually ICTs, by definition, are tools for communication and for interaction and connectivity. If we see this slide, we see 2 terms which are underlined: information and communication, which are actually the linking concepts between ICTs and CLIL. Now I'm going to move on to suggest a typology of ICT-based resources for CLIL. Here we have 9 types: resources for finding content, resources for manipulating content, resources for linguistic use and practice, resources for human communication and interaction, social and cultural projects, meta-sites, double portal sites, sites for explorative learning, and last, multipurpose sites. We're going to deal with them in turn. First, we have the resources for finding content. These are websites that were not originally designed for language learning, but contain a lot of authentic input in the target language, so they can be used very naturally in a CLIL context. For example, houseofworks.com, one of many examples we can find, encyclopedias or many other types of websites. The second type is resources for manipulating content. In this case, once we have texts, oral or written, in the target language, these resources allow the student and the teacher to manipulate, that means to change or to adapt the content and the linguistic input so that it becomes more comprehensible for the learner. Lingro is a website where you can copy and paste any website URL, and then you paste it on this resource, and you find that every single term is actually connected to an online dictionary. There are many other examples. Dictionaries or translators are examples of this type of resources. Then we have resources for linguistic use and practice. All the websites that contain exercises and interactive practice to practice the second or foreign language. Here we have an example from isabelperez.com. Then we have resources for human communication and interaction. They provide many possibilities for the students to interact and communicate among themselves. This is a project for online e-PAL connection. Then we have social and cultural projects. We have many examples. In this case, we have a literary group from València, where you have a social environment, a social collection of people that are connected with the same passion, in this case literature or poetry. We have also meta-sites, sites that connect to many other websites in an organized way. Next we have double portal sites, that have like two different parts, sections. Depending on the purposes or the objectives, you go to one or the other. We also have sites for explorative learning. The best example is webquest.org, because they provide us with many examples of web quests. Web quests are activities for learning language and content which are totally online, and on this website you can find a lot of information about the concept and many examples of this type of interesting activity. The interesting thing about web quests is that they are based on the meaning and the content, but they are also for language development. And last, we have multi-purpose sites that can have characteristics which are typical of the previous types. For example, isabelperez.com contains many different exercises, reflections, articles, things for manipulating input, etc. Now I'm going to move on to give some pedagogical proposals for the use of ICT resources for CLIL. We can use the web as a source of multimedia activities, and we can take educational materials that are available online and enrich them and make them interactive and multimedia in different ways. An example is the BBC Schools Learning Resources for Homeschool. This is their website. We also have the possibility of using activities or websites that are designed for exploratory work. We can also use concordancers, which are resources for manipulating input, in which the students themselves can investigate the use of different words and groups of words in context, so that they can find out the rules and the behavior of words by themselves. This approach is known as data-driven learning, because the students become researchers. Also, we can use the many tools for computer-mediated communication, CMC. Some of them are synchronous, such as Internet Relay Chat, WhatsApp, Skype, moves, 3D environments, etc., or asynchronous, such as email, etc., in order to construct projects for learning. And also we can use authoring tools that are specific for language learning. Ingenio or CLIL Store are two good examples. In conclusion, it is very important to know exactly what we have available online to be used for CLIL. So there is a need for analysis and evaluation of these resources from the point of view of pedagogy. And it's necessary to use typologies and categories such as the ones suggested here, if we know to take full advantage of these resources. So we can explode the pedagogical potential of ICTs to implement a CLIL approach. Thank you very much.